Jaishankar tore into opposition during the much anticipated debate on Operation Sindoor. Addressing the Parliament, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that India had put the issue on global forums such as the UNSC. S. Jaishankar said, and I quote him verbatim before I play out his bite, he said that the Cabinet Committee on Security took place on 23rd of April and the meeting decided the Indus Water Treaty of 1960 will be held in abeyance with immediate effect until Pakistan's credibility irrevocably abjures its support for cross-border terrorism. The integrated check post Atari would be closed with immediate effect. Pakistani nationals who are travelling under SARC visa exemption scheme will no longer be allowed to do so. The Defence, Naval and Air Advisor of Pakistan High Commission would be declared person non grata. The overall strength of the High Commission would be brought down to 30 from 55. Jaishankar said, it was important to send a clear and strong resolute message after the Pahalgam attack. Our red lines have been crossed and we made it very apparent that there would be serious consequences as a result. And then Jaishankar went on to say, it was very clear that after the first steps approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security, India's response to Pahalgam attack would not stop there. Our task from diplomatic perspective, from a foreign policy approach, was to shape global understanding of the Pahalgam attack. What we tried to do was to bring out the international community Pakistan's long-standing use of cross-border terrorism. We highlighted history of terrorism in Pakistan and how this particular attack was meant to target the economy of Jammu Kashmir and to sow communal among the people of India. Now let me play out the bite of S. Jaishankar.
It was important to send a clear, strong and resolute message after the Pahalgam attack. Our red lines had been crossed and we had to make it very apparent that there would be serious consequences. As a result, the first step which was taken was that a meeting of the Cabinet Committee of Security took place on the 23rd of April. Our messages were two. One, zero tolerance of terrorism, and two, the right to defend our people against terrorism. So all the interactions we did, the diplomatic briefings, we called all the embassies for briefings, we interacted with the media. All of this was aimed at these two objectives: zero tolerance of terrorism and the right to defend ourselves, right to defend the people of India against cross-border terrorism. Now, the focus for our diplomacy was understandably the UN Security Council. And Honorable Speaker, sir, the challenge for us was that at this particular point, Pakistan is a member of the Security Council. We are not. So we had to achieve our objectives in a Security Council where Pakistan is a member. Now, our goals in the Security Council were two. One, to get an endorsement from the Security Council of the need for accountability, and two, to bring to justice those who perpetrated this attack.
On this issue, I am joined by Lieutenant General Shaukin Chauhan, former DG Assam Rifles, MP Nathaniel, former IGP CRPF. I'll be joined by Commodore Dr. Ashwinder Singh Bahal, Defence and Strategy Expert, Ambassador Veena Sikri, and subsequently Smita Mishra, Senior Journalist. Before I play out the bite of the Defence Minister, let me start with General Chauhan. Sir, your opening comments on S. Jaishankar, saying that the decisions we have taken in past 5 years not only enabled us to give a strong response to China, but the defence posture has completely changed in last 10 years, and Operation Sindoor met political, military and economic objectives. Sir, to you. Can you please unmute yourself, General Chauhan? Am I audible to you, General Chauhan? I think there's a bit of a line problem. Ambassador Sikri, if you can take that question. Have we met our political and military objectives?
Dr. Jaishankar's speech was very effective, very strong, and absolutely in a very well-rounded manner, conveyed India's objectives and India's horror. The whole nation was with the government on the absolutely bestial killing of the tourists, innocent tourists in Pahalgam. And I think the first step that India took in the CCS meeting, not only to deciding to convey to the world, number one, deciding to convey to the world that India will not tolerate terror and there will be a response, and the immediate decision of putting the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance. That is a very shaken Pakistan to the core, because we know that this was being talked about in India for a long time, at least since 2009 it's been under discussion, but it's only now that the government has taken this very strong step that not only will they put it in abeyance, but it will remain in abeyance till there's verifiable proof that Pakistan has given up terrorism, support for terrorism as a state weapon. And I think this is very important, how we explained it and how we tackled the global media, tackled the UN Security Council, and tackled all the important governments around the world, to explain to them India's response and how India was going to do this. So it was a very, very effective method, and the actual carrying out of the response from between 7th and the 9th, 10th of May. This was another very important manner in which all this was explained, that we were able to, we had very specific objectives, important and key objectives, but very well pinpointed. And these were achieved in that absolutely pinpointed and skill-driven approach. And we were able to show that based on our own Made in India trajectory, we were able to effectively counter the terrorism infrastructure that is there in Pakistan, north to south, whether it is Bahawalpur or Muridke or others. And secondly, when Pakistan did not accept that this was our response to the 22nd April massacre, and Pakistan launched its diverse attack on India, which we were able to fully retaliate with without any loss of people, any loss of any major assets. Then on 9th and 10th, we did the counter, destroying most effectively their air bases, their nuclear command and control structure, and in fact, crippling them, making it totally ineffective, destroying their air defense systems, so they could no longer react. And then the Pakistan DGMO come to India asking for a ceasefire, and we accept.
Okay. Now, going back to General Chauhan, sir, another development that has taken place, and then I'll come back to the debate on Operation Sindoor, is the mastermind of the Pahalgam has been
killed today. Yes.
Killed today, sir. Now, there is one very important piece of information that I want to share with you, sir. And, and that important piece of information is about technology. And it says, and let me read it out to you, because, ultimately the wars are being fought differently. According to sources, Indian security agencies got strong clues about Chinese ultra radio communications being active, one. Secondly, yes, after which the operation was carried out, Lashkar used this Chinese ultra radio for encrypted messages. In 2016, it was called WYSMS. So, which means that for the operation which took place, sir, in Dachigram, there was a technical breakthrough, and hence we succeeded. Sir.
Karthik, you're absolutely right. And firstly, I agree with Ambassador Sikri with her contention that the situation, the events that took place post Operation Sindoor to reach out to the countries were very, very effective, and we were able to pass our message across that we will not deal with a terrorist nation. And also about Operation Sindoor. Now, you have to understand that when we went into Operation Sindoor, we were quite clear that China and Pakistan are in sync with each other, and in technical sync, and now fully integrated with each other. So the idea that a superpower like China is in integration with a terrorist nation and help them completely in dealing during Operation Sindoor. So what we did during Operation Sindoor actually gave us a great deal of information about how China is actually using its weapon systems, is using its different kind of systems, and we were able to bypass them effectively. So Operation Sindoor not only met all the aims that we had when dealing with Pakistan, but it also met another aim plus. That means we came to know how Chinese equipment functions. And for that, that's a very huge aim plus. And we also came to know how to deal with Chinese equipment and how to bypass Chinese equipment. And that is how we've been able to bypass Chinese equipment and kill the mastermind of the Pahalgam terrorist attack. So these are all huge issues, Karthik. The idea that we are moving and we have the ability and the agility to deal with situations and to change our tack. And that's what the CDSF also, if you remember, he said in Singapore that on the first day, maybe there were a few mistakes, but we made sure that those few mistakes were covered up and we were able to deal with them in such a manner that by the end of the 88th hour, Pakistan was actually on its knees. And there was no way Pakistan could have recovered because we had destroyed completely Pakistan's ability to stop our domination of the airspace, stop our domination of Pakistan targets. And Pakistan had no way that their air defense could not have functioned after that. So clearly, Karthik, the whole idea is that India is on a learning curve. The last 5, I would say 10 years, I have seen a huge amount of change as far as our infrastructure is concerned. You're aware that before I commanded Assam Rifles, I was the DG, I was the GOC of 1 Corps. I was also the GOC of 8 Mountain Division, which is deployed in Kargil sector. And the entire area where my division was deployed has undergone a huge change, both in the infrastructure, both in technology, both in better equipment. And we are now able to, in that area, make out exactly what Pakistan is trying. Because we were always holding the watershed and we are looking into Pakistan, but we didn't have the technical equipment to actually find out what exactly there was. For example, at the Chor Batla Pass, we are looking across almost 10 to 14 kilometers inside. And now we can make out completely, and it gives us a very clear picture of how Pakistan is, how it's reacting, where is it going to move. And
okay.
We're absolutely certain that we will not be surprised again in a situation like Kargil.
Okay. Let me go across to MP Nathaniel. Sir, do you think that the battleground has changed? Before I go back to Jaishankar, there are 2 questions which I'll take with my panelists. Has the battle terrain changed in Jammu and Kashmir with this sophisticated technologies which is making it difficult for the troops to break into the communication net? Like, for example, very famous film Seher, which decoded the way gangster had unleashed a reign of terror in Uttar Pradesh, but our ability to crack the GSM technology, we were able to, crack down on the gangs in the UP. So similarly, do you think that this new technology, drones, the new radio sets, has reshaped the battle terrain of J&K, sir?
Good evening to all your viewers and to you all. In fact, when I was posted there sometime in 2009-10, the communication system was so good that we could collect the information about any terrorist movement within seconds. The technical input was so reliable and so accurate that within minutes our troops would reach the spot and apprehend them, or in an encounter, when they started firing, we would kill them also. So the technology, I feel, has always been good, particularly in J&K, and because of that, we were able to have a series of success against the militants in that area. But of course, we have to, even the LG of J&K has agreed that there was some intelligence failure because of which this Pahalgam incident took place. But the technical input and the human input that we got, intelligence that we got later on, that has helped us track the fellows who had sheltered them, and because of that we were able further to track down the actual culprit, and that is why we were able to pin down Suleiman in an encounter today. So this kind of intelligence input definitely helped the security forces, along with CRPF and special forces and RR. We were able to track down these fellows and they were eliminated today in the encounter.
Let me go across to Air Commodore Ashwinder Singh Bahal. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. Do you think that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we used to talk about people in charge of the war theatre. Actually, Operation Sindoor reminds us that this theaterization of the military infrastructure is really, really very important, because modern wars will be fought like that.
First of all, thank you for inviting me. I was the first person to write a paper on theaterization in around 2002 to 2004. And there are issues from all sides, and I'm totally in favor that there should be a theaterization, primarily because there should be central decision making and response. Rapid response could be given if there is a central actor who takes most of the decisions. But I would not like to, I would like to highlight one very important aspect, that when we look at Air Force and when we look at Army, our tactical, strategic and operational theaters are much larger than what the Army looks at. For example, even now in this discussion, we were talking of 10 kilometers, 12 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers. Whereas when we look at the Air Force, we talk of 1,000 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers. Secondly, our Air Force today is just about 29 squadrons after the last MiG-21 squadron gets number plated. And when we want to divide it into large number of small Army commands, let's say Northern Command, Western Command, Eastern Command, we don't have that kind of numbers that we can divide them and put them piecemeal. And secondly, the Air Force is a very flexible element. It can take off from any base, operate at any area, attack at any other place, and launch weapon systems that are much beyond visual range. For example, BrahMos, which with the Air Force systems on board can be launched from 450 kilometers at 3 times the speed of sound. So, and it was virtually, nobody could catch it or could destroy it, and it was able to achieve its targets. So when we are looking at Air Force, we are looking at an operational background which is more strategic in nature, and therefore the theaterization has to take into account, and it should be an India strategic theater where we are looking at different Army commands also having their own northern, western and eastern and southern commands, and at the same time the Air Force elements are flexible to be employed at any part. And another thing is, if we put the Air Force elements very close to the base, they will be easily neutralized by the enemy's surface-to-surface missiles or any other system. Therefore, they have to be based at depth. And it is for this reason that sometimes when the Army talks of theaterization, they forget the flexibility that Air Force provides, and the way we can utilize the aircraft from anywhere. In fact, they can take off from Andaman and Nicobar Islands, do a air-to-air refueling and attack. You saw how the B-2 bombers went more than 11,500 kilometers to strike a target. So you can't talk of theaterization in the manner that Army is looking tactically at its area of operations. What we need theaterization is where the Army itself is at the tactical level. At the same time, the Air Force is flexibly utilized at the strategic and operational level to hit targets all over Pakistan, from any place, from the sea, from the land, from the mountains, from anywhere else. And this is some understanding which still has to set in most of the Army commanders.
Okay. Now let me play out. I'll take a reaction on this from General Chauhan, but let me play out a bite of Mr. Jaishankar on TRF and one more bite of Rajnath Singh in we mentioned Navy for the first time in the House, and then I'll go to Ambassador Sikri.
Where was the world on Pahalgam? I think the answer is there. The answer is there in a Security Council statement which says hold them accountable, bring them to justice, and that is exactly what we did through Operation Sindoor. Now, I also want, Honorable Speaker, sir, through you, to bring to the attention of the House a very interesting development pertaining to the TRF, the Resistance Front. When the Security Council was debating this on the 25th of April, and TRF had twice claimed responsibility for the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan defended the TRF. Pakistan tried to get any mention of TRF excluded, and in fact the Pakistani Foreign Minister told his parliament that this is a great diplomatic achievement. Now, I mention it because today, again thanks to our diplomacy, the TRF has been designated as a global terrorist organization by the US government, and the same Pakistani Foreign Minister who took so much pride saying I defended the TRF says, well, now if the US has done this, we accept it.
अध्यक्ष महोदय, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ट्राई सर्विसेज कोऑर्डिनेशन का एक बेमिसाल उदाहरण था। जब भारतीय वायुसेना ने आसमान से हमले किए, हमारी थल सेना ने जमीन पर मोर्चा संभाल लिया। हमारे जवान नियंत्रण रेखा पर पूरी ताकत से डटे रहे और पाकिस्तान की हर हरकत का करारा जवाब दिया। अध्यक्ष महोदय, भारतीय नौसेना ने भी, लोग पूछते हैं भारतीय नौसेना का क्या रोल था, भारतीय नौसेना ने भी उत्तरी अरब सागर में अपनी तैनाती मजबूत कर दी। भारतीय नौसैनिकों ने पाकिस्तान को यह साफ संदेश दिया कि हम समुद्र से लेकर जमीन तक पाकिस्तान के हर महत्वपूर्ण ठिकानों पर प्रहार करने में न केवल सक्षम हैं बल्कि हम तैयार हैं। अध्यक्ष महोदय, इस ऑपरेशन का मकसद टेररिस्ट कैंप्स और उनके सपोर्टर्स को टारगेट करना, उन्हें नेस्त नाबूद करना था और यह साफ संदेश देना था कि भारत आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध जीरो टॉलरेंस रखता है।
The defense minister said that the times had changed since the 2008 Mumbai terror attack, and today's India under Prime Minister Modi believed in going to the roots of terror and uprooting them.
प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में भारत वह देश नहीं रहा जो पहले था। Today doziers have been replaced by decisive action. मैं इस सदन को याद दिलाना चाहता हूं, 2008 में मुंबई में इतनी बड़ी आतंकी घटना हुई, मगर उस समय की सरकार को जो प्रभावी कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए थी वो नहीं हो पाई। लेकिन उसमें सबसे दुखद और आश्चर्य की बात है, कई वर्ल्ड फोरम, इंटरनेशनल फोरम पर जो उसका कंडेमनेशन होना चाहिए, जो उसकी निंदा की जानी चाहिए, वह भी जितना होना चाहिए नहीं हो पाया। अध्यक्ष, यदि आप उस घटना के बाद हुए ब्रिक्स सम्मेलन के डॉक्यूमेंट्स उठाकर देख लीजिए, मुंबई आतंकी हमले का कहीं जिक्र भी नहीं है। और अध्यक्ष महोदय, जब केंद्र में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में सरकार बनी, तब जाकर कहीं के हालात कुछ बदलने शुरू हुए और साल 2017 में हुए ब्रिक्स सम्मेलन में पहली बार 2017 में हुए ब्रिक्स सम्मेलन में पहली बार आतंकवाद से लश्कर और जैश जैसे आतंकवादी संगठनों को जोड़ा गया। यह भी अपने में करिश्माई काम था। यह परिस्थिति इसलिए बनी क्योंकि इसके ठीक एक साल पहले उरी की घटना के भारत की सेनाओं ने सीमा पर जाकर सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक की थी। हमने दुनिया को बताया कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हम सरहद के इस पार भी मारेंगे और जरूरत पड़ी तो आतंकियों के घर में घुसकर भी मारेंगे।
So, Ambassador Sikri, one, how will you define this shift that has taken place in our foreign policy and defense posturing? And Madam, my second question to you is, every military action is based on a political and economic objectives. What do you have to say on the political and economic objectives that flow out of Operation Sindoor, and how should they be met in long run, Madam?
Yeah, well, first of all, I must say that this is now the new normal, as our Prime Minister has enunciated very clearly at that time and now by Defence Minister and External Affairs Minister in Parliament. The new normal is that no act of terror is going to be tolerated. Every act of terror is an act of war. So the response will be similar to any act of war. And I think that this has been not only proved this time, because we were able to take it on this level in the Security Council. As the External Affairs Minister said, they recognize that India has a right of self-defense and there must be justice for those who have perpetrated the attacks. And similarly with the delegation that went, the multi-party delegation that went to different corners of the world, led by people from individual eminent MPs from different political parties, but all defending in one voice India's response. And what we now seek from the global community is this united approach on terror without any double standards. Now, this is a very important, very muscular approach that India has taken on terror, and we intend to defend this all the way. And I think that Pakistan has certainly been put on the back foot by this, because they didn't expect that India would take this. For example, a very specific example of the Indus Waters Treaty. They were not expecting this at all, that India would put the treaty into abeyance. Since 2009, when it was under discussion, every time it was always, no, we will not do this, we will not, and now that. But we have said very clearly that we are going to do this because water is important for the people of India as much for the people of Pakistan. And this is a completely unequal treaty, and we intend now to put it into abeyance, not give any data to the Pakistani side, and continue to develop our original plans for the water sources and the rivers flowing through J&K and other parts of India. So I think that this statement of India's new intention, the new normal, was defended very well, carried out by the response on the ground on 7th to 10th May, and subsequently defended very well by the individual delegations that went abroad to 30 different countries. And I think in India, the response and the feeling of the people of India was so effective because we were able to completely respond and defend ourselves against every attack from Pakistan. This was very important. Look at the losses on the Pakistan side and the losses on the Indian side. I mean, this is absolutely, as they say, Zameen Asman Ka Farak. So, you know, this was something that we were able to not only talk about, but defend globally and defend on the ground. And in the end, the Pak DGMO had to come, asking for a ceasefire. The fact that we have been able globally to defend ourselves, that this is a bilateral agreement between the Pakistan DGMO and the Indian DGMO accepted by the government. And it is absolutely nobody's interference, nobody's role that played any part in this. There was no question at all of trade and so on. And we have been able to, I think, convince a large part of the world on this. And we are carrying on with this, and we will be able to even more effectively.
Okay, General Chauhan, Indian Army has carried out operations with a long frame of time. Operation Sarvinash, Operation Parakram, Sir, Operation Sadbhavna, Operation Rhino. How do we contextualize Operation Sindoor when we say it is only on a pause button, sir? Can you unmute yourself, sir?
Sorry. Yeah, Karthik, Operations Sarvinash, Operation Sadbhavna, of course, all these operations are within the country. Operation Sindoor had to deal with a rogue nation. So we launched Operation Sindoor with an idea that we would first hit Pakistan terrorist infrastructure, then see how Pakistan reacts, and based on a ladder of escalation, react to every point of Pakistan's escalatory ladder by a harder hit. That was the issue as far as Operation Sindoor was concerned, because it was focused on hitting outside our country, whereas the other operations were focused on hitting inside our country and clearing our own country of terrorists. So at each point, Karthik, we utilized what we had. And in fact, this was the first operation where we had to deal with Chinese-Pakistan interaction from the very beginning. The Pakistanis today are fully involved and integrated in the Chinese electronic systems. All the electronic systems, the EW systems, the air defense systems, the satellite systems, the Air Force are completely integrated with the Chinese. So whatever operation we do from now on, we are clear that we will be fighting two countries. So the other operations, Karthik, were not like that. They were in isolation. Sarvinash was in isolation. Sadbhavna was, of course, to help out the people. Rhino was to deal with terrorists in the northeast. But this was an operation where we were dealing with an enemy outside. Terrorists, no doubt, but enemy outside. And when we started the operation, we had decided one thing, that on the first night we would hit only terrorist infrastructure. Based on an escalatory situation of Pakistan escalating the issue, we then moved to the point second. That means then started destroying Pakistan military infrastructure. And then the third was Pakistan air bases. And the fourth, we would have gone on to hit several other important points. So at each point, we were well poised. And like Shri Rajnath ji said, our Navy was also well poised to take on naval targets, which were the next in line. So this is the way, Karthik, we dealt with Pakistan. I agree with Ambassador Sikri that it's the new normal, but we should not get hedged in by reacting every time in the same manner. We must keep our the aces up our sleeve. We must keep our escalatory capabilities separately. We must know who we are dealing with. And at each point, our reaction should be absolutely different from the previous reaction. Because Pakistan would have learned its lesson and would have known how to deal with the situation that we did the last time. So these are the issues that I want to bring to mind, that every operation we do is a new operation. You cannot take up the earlier parameters and fit it here. And every day, this kind of warfare is changing. Pakistan declared victory of its own. We said, look, we've won based on the number of destruction that we have caused on your air bases or destruction we've caused there. But at each point, we have to know that the definition of victory will be separate. So these are the issues I thought I must put into perspective.
Absolutely.
To everybody.
But Mr. Nathaniel, do you think that post Operation Sindoor, the challenges for the security have become even bigger? Because, they will have to deal with the terrorists in a way which is far more effective. Because now the onus of retaliation is on the Indian state, which says that every terror action would be treated like an act of war. Mr. Nathaniel, am I audible to you?
For whom is the question?
The question is to you, sir.
Beg your pardon?
The question is to you. I am saying that with the Operation Sindoor on pause, it also creates a pressure on the Indian security forces, because now we when we say we have hit a pause button, the onus of action is on us.
Yeah, definitely. Now that we have taught a lesson to the Pakistanis, the trouble would be that if they ever venture into such a misadventure again, they'll have to face the music. And now, in order to prepare our troops for that, for any misadventure that they may indulge in, we are inducting more central CRPF battalions also there. The MHA has recently sanctioned about 20 battalions and exclusively for J&K. And that I'm sure
CRPF battalion was part of this operation today, sir. I must point this out. It was a joint operation of the Indian Army with CRPF battalion, which took place in Dachigram, where we took out these terrorists.
True. So it was not only CRPF, it was of course with RR and special forces also who were there, along with J&K police.
Yes, absolutely.
Of course, J&K police is always there, almost in all the operations, because we largely depend upon them because of the knowledge they have of the terrain. Of course, the security forces also have a good knowledge, but comparatively, the J&K police personnel have better knowledge of the terrain, and they are able to take the lead in places where they have better knowledge of the terrain. So, in future, I am sure that with the induction of more CRPF battalions, we will be able to tackle the situation, and the Pakistanis will not enter into this kind of a misadventure. Of course, there has been intelligence failure this time, but that will not happen always. After all, even in Israel, we find Mossad was caught unaware suddenly. So there can be intelligence failure at times, but it's not that always they can get away with it. This time, our intelligence system has also been activated, and now we largely depend on the tribals over there, the Gujjars and Bakarwals. They provide the human in, which is of great advantage to the security forces. And because of the accurate information which is provided to the security forces, we are able to tackle them and go to the place where they are exactly positioned and take them on and finish them. So now with the intelligence machinery being geared up, I am sure that they will not enter into this kind of a misadventure.
Okay. Dr. Singh, a Commodore Singh, this time, for example, when the Operation Kargil, the Kargil took place, the spotlight was on the Indian Army. This time the spotlight was on our aerial defense system, the aerial system, even the political debates were around Rafale and the Generation 5th fighters of the Pakistan Army. So in which perspective do you see this evolution of the 4-day war which India fought with Pakistan?
See, one thing is very important, that whatever war we fight, even though it's a nuclear bluff, but there is a nuclear environment all around us, which makes the world very, very sensitive. And at the
But we
same
have been
time,
able to
Pakistanis.
call up the nuclear bluff, sir. We have been
Yeah.
able to create a strategic
No, no,
space.
no. Sir, give me some time. I'm building up the base to tell you what has gone different. The thing that has gone different is how we were able to call the nuclear bluff was that primarily we kept our forces, our army remained within our own territory, they never crossed the territory. Our aircraft also remained within our territory. Everything was within our territory when we fired those missiles and drones. Now, the whole aspect is that we called off their nuclear bluff because we did not enter their territory, and that is going to be the new norm. Because even if when they say that they're going to use the nuclear weapon, where are they going to drop it? Are they going to drop it in our country? Normally, they would have thought of dropping it in their own country if our armored forces had crossed across, or if our army was making significant gains in the enemy territory, especially in the Rajasthan sector. So when I'm saying this, I'm saying that the new norm is this, that we are going to remain within our territory when we fight the war. That is one. Number two, I do not agree to say that future there will be no intelligence failures, because the terrorist has to succeed only once. Our army is continuously alert. It is continuously active 24 by 7, 365 days a year. They are on the ball. But you cannot stop that one-off strike which the terrorist will do. And as we are seeing that already in Pakistan, there is Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen have already started their meetings. They have already started recruiting. And now what they are doing is, they are keeping their elements not in one places concentrated, but at number of places in the launch pads or beyond, which are small underground bunker type structures. So they have distributed their terror elements, whether in POJK or in their own Punjab, Pakistani Punjab, or even now they are recruiting from Sindh also and other parts of Pakistan also, and they're expanding their footprint. Now, the whole point that I'm trying to make here is that the future war is going to be extremely different, and we have to be prepared for that. We need those drones. We need those fifth generation fighter aircrafts today, not after 10 years. We need to have a greater sense of urgency in filling up these squadrons that have been depleting for a period of time, and where we are making efforts, but somehow or the other we have been unlucky, whether it is due to the GE404 engine, or whether it is due to any other reasons of integration of weapon systems and Israeli radars on the LCA. But LCA itself is just 4 and 4.5 generation in between aircraft. What we need is fifth generation aircraft today, not 10 years later. And we are making efforts. We are putting MCA. We are even looking at L&T and Tata Advanced Systems Limited to help them. There is a greater effort and involvement of the government today and of the Defense Secretary and Defense Minister. But what we need is much more urgency, primarily because the Pakistanis are again gearing up to create an environment where they will say that the terror attack took place from within India by Indian elements. And then we have to respond. And the question that you asked last was very important, the onus. Which terror attack? Will we call Riyasi attack and then launch the entire war again? Or will we call Pahalgaon type of incident you're looking at? And that is going to be extremely tough call. When are we going to take? What are we going to do? What is the option that we have? And what the general said was very, very right when he said that the next response should be completely different. And for this, our capability building has to start from today. We have to look at drones in a completely different manner. Drones are one element of warfare. It doesn't mean that we don't need any more tanks, or we don't need any more corps, or we don't need any more armored regiments. What it means, or we don't need any more fighter aircraft. They have a role to play in warfare. And we need to expand our footprint on drones in different elements of drones, from high altitude to low altitude, and also to loitering munitions. At the same time, we got to build the capability and modernization of the Indian Air Force at a very rapid pace. Somewhere down the line, we are slowed down there.
Okay. Now, Ambassador Sikri, before I come to you, on the issue of China, United States and Pakistan, especially the meetings which Munir was able to fetch in Washington and Beijing, let me play out a bite of Raksha Mantri when he referred to Bhagavad Gita.
No sound.
हम अगर शांति की आशा के लिए हाथ बढ़ाना जानते हैं तो अशांति फैलाने वाले हाथों को उखाड़ना भी जानते हैं। अध्यक्ष महोदय, अगर शांति के प्रयास करना हम जानते हैं तो दुष्टों को जो भाषा समझ में आए उसी भाषा में समझाना भी जानते हैं। सठे साक्ष्यम समाचरे, अर्थात दुष्ट के साथ दुष्टता का ही व्यवहार करना पड़ता है कभी कभी। अध्यक्ष महोदय, हमने भगवान कृष्ण से सीखा है कि शिशुपाल की 100 गलतियां माफ की जा सकती हैं, पर अंत में धर्म की रक्षा के लिए सुदर्शन चक्र उठाना ही पड़ता है।
Very rightly said. धर्म की रक्षा के लिए सुदर्शन चक्र उठाना ही पड़ता है। Ambassador Sikri, my question is that despite the fact that we were able to reveal the issues which concerns Pakistan's deep state, terrorism, collusion, but Munir was able to create a space for himself both in China and Pakistan. How should we see it? I'm sure we can always say that, West has its own double standards, but strategically, from a foreign policy perspective, what does it tell us?
Well, I think, first of all, yes, what you said about double standards is completely correct. But also, Pakistan has traditionally been that way, that they will do anything for anybody. They will carry the can for anybody just to get their way. And let me also tell you that today, China is more and more worried about Pakistan. This time, we spoke about Asim Munir going to China. But in China, he didn't get the meeting he wanted. He did not meet Xi Jinping. This was a great indication that in China, at least, there seems to be some kind of a concern about, Pakistan's loyalty to China, as it were, and how they are, ready to hunt with the hare and, run with the hare and hunt with the hounds all the time. I think Pakistan, because of its known proclivity to do this, is used by all these countries. And certainly, President Trump, when he met Asim Munir, please note that he met for the lunch only Asim Munir and I think one other army officer from Pakistan. Even the ambassador of Pakistan to the US was kept outside the room. And then also there was some, an indication that Asim Munir was not given the honor of his car coming up to the portico in the White House. And his car was stopped at the gate and he was made to walk because only heads of government and heads of state can bring their car into the portico. This made him very angry. And I believe that from that moment on, he's now determined to become the president of Pakistan so that he can next time have his car going in. So I think one has to be very careful. He was called by Trump because of what they wanted Pakistan to do on Iran. And it is also being said that the B-2 bombers did not really fly all the way from America with 3 refuelings, etc., air-to-air refuelings, but they may have flown from Pakistan. So I think that we have to know that Pakistan is being used by America for various purposes, and India is very well aware of this.
I think they're getting used by America, but there's they understand there's a pleasure in being used for example, Asim Munir is now a field marshal, sir. Janu Chauhan, he's a field marshal. From a different perspective, I would say he has monetized his defeat.
Karthik, Pakistan has always monetized its defeat. Whether it was post the 1971 war or it was post the 1999 war, at every point of our conflict with Pakistan, at every point, the Pakistan army took over the nation. Pakistan army gained in one way or the other. There was at no point after any war, because they won no wars, they've only lost the wars. They won no territory, they won no wars, they won nothing. They've only lost them. But at every point, the Pakistan army has taken over the country or done something by which they reign supreme. And even this one was self-declared victory, where Asim Munir declared himself a field marshal for losing a war, of an 88-hour war. So that's the way Pakistan functions. Pakistan is known for duplicity. And I agree with you, Karthik. The issue is that China will and is very wary of this particular aspect of Pakistan. There are a lot of chats on Weibo, that is the chat, which have revealed that the Chinese public are telling their leaders that, look, how long will we keep sustaining a falling nation like Pakistan. After all, what is China getting out of Pakistan? Pakistan has no money. Pakistan does not have strategic space. Pakistan cannot give Gwadar away because Balochistan has that. Pakistan is not really giving any kind of strategic space to Afghanistan because Afghanistan is against
I agree with you. I agree with you, Janu Chauhan, but I hope public opinion counts in China, because the entire effort of the Chinese authorities is that the public opinion cannot be counted. You know, Commodore Singh, is it possible to change the behavior of the Pakistani deep state, or do you think it's an irretrievable proposition? You know, you cannot change the behavior of the deep state, because if you look at the Israeli objective of coming down hard on Hezbollah, Hamas, even IRGC, the entire effort is political, to change the behavior of the state. But in all the wars, we don't end up changing the behavior of the Pakistani deep state, which is very, very inimical towards India. I mean, that's the fact of the matter.
Very nicely said. In fact, very rarely somebody has expressed it so well when he says this. Let me assure you, the deep state was not affected if we kill 100 terrorists. The deep state doesn't get affected when they continue to train, arm, use the drug money and provide them with logistics and communication infrastructure and the training that they require to go and create those terror attacks in India. The deep state will only get affected if the establishment, Asim Munir or Asim Malik, these guys, if we hit them, our targets next time. And that is why I said we have to adopt new tactics and new ways of striking back. We must hit at Asim Munir and we must hit at Asim Malik. They have to be killed. A kind of fear psychosis must take place in the Pakistan.
Sir, I don't know whether I've really run short of time. I don't know whether that sort of an action is possible with nuclear armed states. But nonetheless, I am not the person who has served in army. But thank you all of you for joining me. This debate is going to continue in Parliament tomorrow, and we will be following every bit of it. So this is all I had on Point today. I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you and good night.
एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर एंकर टूथपेस्ट, नए जमाने की नई सुरक्षा.
Hi, this is Maman Irani.
Hi, this is Karishma Tanna. Hi, I'm Nushat Bharucha.
Catch this conversation on News9.
Catch this conversation on News9. Catch me and this conversation on News9.
Hi, this is Shahid Kapoor, and catch this conversation on News9.
What are you watching, Dad?
Don't you often say, think before investing in the stock market? So I'm trying to gain some knowledge.
From whom?
That's this stocks expert. Makes great educational videos. Gives good investment tips too.
Dad, don't rely on such videos. Do your own research or contact a SEBI registered investment advisor. In the name of education, some influencers often misguide investors. You will have to bear the losses.
खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध